The living room, where the family meets to discuss issues, any issue which may be bothering one of the family members. That's what we do each and every Tuesday on WAC 90.1 FM with Ricardo Mitchell and DJ Aaron 868. We have casual conversations on serious topics, from sports to culture, mental health to economics, relationships to life lessons. Join us each and every Tuesday on WAC 90.1 FM. The Living Room, casual conversations on serious topics.
It is now 6 p.m. here in Trinidad and Tobago. I don't know what time it is where you are, but I'm glad to know you're locked on to the true nation station, WACK 90.1 FM, where we are
culture crazy.
First and foremost, let's kick this off as we always do, all right? Must give thanks and praises to the Almighty for granting us the gift of life and seeing another day. No matter what time of day it is, you must always
give thanks.
Secondly, we must say thank you to those that went before us. And we are not just talking about our ancestors, the original inhabitants of Trinidad and Tobago, because we all know, accept, reiterate, and they say it with the chest that Columbus lied. But also to our brother in music, Tony Prescott, where the P this week stands for
Practice, brother, practice.
Columbus real practice that lie, you know.
Wow, all right. Well, that wasn't the angle I was going at, but I hear you.
No, you know why? This Easter, right?
Mm-hmm.
I took a road trip to Icacos and Columbus Bay and Cedros and all the points down on that end of the country, right? How Columbus was going from Spain to the Western world, but discovered Trinidad in the Gulf of Paria.
You're really asking me? I could postulate. I could pontificate.
No,
I could propose.
You understand what I ask you, right?
Right.
It's not to say the man discovered we in Maracas, you know?
Right. So
the man come out wrong.
It's how far south he went.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry, he rediscovered us in Columbus Bay, not on Maracas or Blanchisseuse or Toco or.
Well, I would assume that, taking the northeast trade winds as, the primary means of motivating these vessels in this particular direction, right? He ended up a little further south than intended. And the question I would ask you is, had he not come in from that direction, what would he have seen and named the country? Because remember, is the Trinity Hills he saw.
Yeah, right.
And referred to the island as La Trinidad.
Right.
So had he not seen that, what would he have named us?
Cella della Trinitario.
Why, Aaron? Why?
I don't know. I was just going for it. Trinity Hills, El Cella della Ripo, El Cella Trinitario.
He would not see the hills. He would have seen something else.
I don't know. We ought to be named Beach. Hey, if you don't know the
we could have been the seaweed islands,
But I don't know, boy. What's the name of the seaweed that has come only around Easter time,
the
boy?
Sargasso.
Yeah, the Sargasso Islands.
Or jellyfish bay.
If you don't know the program you're listening to, this is The Living Room with yours truly, DJ Aaron 868. I remind you each and every week that culture is my code, alongside my bro with no fro, but a lot of flow.
Ricardo Mitchell, the social sage on the global stage.
And we are now, if you didn't know, this was a celebratory weekend here in Trinidad and Tobago. Right. A very unique weekend, as a matter of fact.
Hence the P word.
Right. If you are a practicing Catholic, you would have celebrated Easter weekend, or the Holy Triduum, which was Holy Thursday, Good Friday, and Glorious Saturday. If you are a practicing Muslim, you would be observing Ramadan.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a practicing Hindu, you would have celebrated Pagwa.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a practicing Baptist, you would have celebrated Baptist Liberation Day on Saturday.
Correct,
And
is right.
that is the beauty of the country that is Trinidad and Tobago.
Mm-hmm.
We are able to celebrate numerous religious occurrences and observations at the same time without fear or prejudice.
Yep. Hence the P word, practice, because we have to recognize the importance, the significance of being a country where every creed and race finds an equal place. I ain't getting into that. Because the Baptist, the Shouter Baptist, which was renamed the Spiritual Baptist in an attempt to be less what was it I'm looking for here, buddy? Contentious.
Right.
Yeah. Right. They were not allowed to practice. It was literally against the law to be a Baptist in Trinidad and Tobago. Right. So the liberation comes from the ability to freely practice your faith as you experience and believe it. And this weekend was a culmination of, as you so rightfully said, so many different observances, and it is a healthy reminder of the tolerance that we can partake in. That the tolerance that we could in Trinidad and Tobago, you dressing up differently whole weekend based on what it is you were going to do or who you were going to support in terms of your brothers and sisters in the citizenry, experiencing these different things, and still maintain a healthy respect for the ongoing Ramadan. So all things set aside, it was not bad weekend to be a Trini.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But before we go down into anything further, Ricardo, let me just ask for transparency purposes here. How was I don't know what you would have celebrated over the weekend, so I'm just going to ask you, how was your long weekend?
Fantastic. It was not as quiet as I would have liked, but it was definitely a necessary weekend. First and foremost, I finally handed over the documentary that I was working on. It's been a trip, and with that, I hope to restore some balance, some work-life balance, and to reprioritize my health and my rest, and accommodate it accordingly when I take on my next commission project. A brethren of mine celebrated his 10-year anniversary of life, having been shot on Good Friday 10 years ago and hospitalized and so on and so forth.
Is that my barber?
No. This is Squaggy.
Okay.
Yeah. You know Squaggy?
Right. Yes, I yeah.
Yeah, so it's 10 years. Good Friday would have marked 10 years. And it was good to be able to still celebrate and to acknowledge life with a brother who had that type of experience. Went to church on Sunday morning. Yes, sister in the faith who was actually on the program with us before, Sabrina. She invited me to a small church, and I had a fantastic Sunday morning. It is the first time that I'd gone to fellowship in years as a believer. Now, you know me, church for me is every conversation I have in any place that I can be, where two or three are gathered, etc. But to bathe, change, and put on a shirt
with sleeves,
right, and buttons to celebrate Resurrection Sunday, as is also popularly known, to celebrate in community with a group. And it was a small service, it was a small turnout, but it was such a lovely experience. It definitely was a nice way to cap off the weekend. And then of course after that, little Easter Sunday lunch and back to work, because here we are recording the living room with so many things to talk about, because I'm pretty certain not everybody had as fantastic a weekend as I might have had, some of whom were stranded in airports and so on and so forth. But that I will ask you about after I return the lovely greeting and ask you, sir, how was your weekend?
My weekend was an excellent one, I will admit. On Thursday night, Friday afternoon, and Saturday night, I would have attended church, mass, in Superior at La Divina Pastora and experienced the Holy Triduum down there. It was an excellent experience, I must admit. Usually I would just go to church on Easter Sunday and Holy Thursday, but this time I was asked to accompany my girlfriend to the entire it's somewhere saying it on radio, but
let me get accustomed.
Yeah, so I was asked to accompany her, and I attended the entire weekend. It was excellent. And also Superior does a lot of activities on Holy Thursday where vendors take to the streets and ply their trade and sell market produce, food, clothing, and other accessories along the streets of Superior, which it was an enjoyable experience. And also the statue, the La Divine statue, was taken out from its usual storage space and put where pilgrims could have visited the statue and paid homage to it.
Right.
And give offerings and things like that. So it was really interesting, as we know that as a nation, we observe so many religious observances over this weekend, to see many non-Catholic persons coming to our Catholic church grounds to pay homage to La Divine. It was a really enlightening experience for me. I as you would say, same when he spoke of the Easter Sunday lunch. Right, I enjoyed that. But I think the highlight of this weekend for me was on Monday. I took a road trip, as I said earlier, down to Fiascoes, Columbus Bay, and Cedros. First time I ever visited Columbus Bay.
Okay, well, nice.
I actually have done. I went to Fiascoes, but I never made it to the beach. I just stopped in the wetlands, right, and made it all the way down to Fiascoes Bay. Then came back up and went to Columbus Bay. And while parking in Fiascoes Bay, I would have met a gentleman, right? And they say sometimes, strange things happen in strange places. But I met a gentleman that I think I should shed some light on, and shed some light on his work.
So you're hanging your hat?
I hang my hat to this gentleman right here. He's no stranger to the culture or the history of Trinidad and Tobago. Let me tilt my screen a little bit forward. It'll look backwards for you there. But
no.
This is a book.
We're good to go.
This is a book. It's called I'll Take You There. It's a series of short stories penned by one Michael Cozier, a local author. I bounced him up, parking on Fiascoes Bay, selling copies of his books.
On Fiascoes Bay.
On Fiascoes Bay. He's from Fiascoes.
Yeah.
And I was, I love to support local.
Yes, correct.
I was able to buy one of his books and get it autographed by him, which I will be reading over the next couple of months. So look out for short excerpts and stuff from the book over the next couple of months, as I just try to share a local piece of literature with you, the listeners, here on WAC 90.1 FM.
Well, you know what that does? It actually creates an opportunity, because a good friend of my family, a guy who has been a huge support during my father's decline last year, and he actually penned some poetry, and it's the type of thing that, because of the way he introspects, but the directness with which he speaks, it might be a bad mental health moment to have him do one or two of the short pieces, because it is honest reflection. So you know what, maybe, Aaron, we could dedicate a couple minutes over the next couple of weeks, as we are led, to a little prose.
Yeah, because I know last month in February we would have celebrated World Read Aloud Day. And I think it's something that we need to do with the younger generation.
Yeah.
And we're not just talking reading Romeo and Juliet and To Kill a Mockingbird and The Pearl and Animal Farm and those different worldly literature. We need to focus on our national literature, the books by Michael Anthony, Samuel Selvon, Michael Cozier, all these different local writers we need to focus on, and Dr. Eric Williams.
Yeah, hey.
We need to focus. Yeah, we need.
Yeah. Yeah.
We need to focus on sharing our local literature with the younger generation. We know that by Kaiso, our stories are told. But by local literature, our stories can be read. Take some time over the next month and more to educate yourself from some local literature. And if you also have some time and you want to listen to it, you could take in something from Paul Skeens Douglas. Talking about Tanti Merle.
There's excellent hanging of hat too. Must commend it. Excellent job, especially since it does leave room for us to dedicate a minute or two to remind the people that our voices aren't just for commentary, but you could do some narration and storytelling as well.
But now we have to wipe your feet.
Jeez and ages.
And just so fittingly, we're talking wiping of feet, and feet is the primary body part used.
Right.
In this week's, I don't even want to call it scandal, but this week. But before, I know that is what we want to wipe our feet on, Ricardo. But there was a clip I saw on TikTok, and I think this is the perfect preface to the issue at hand, where it was being asked, why is it that government scholarships or government funding for education is not widely accessible, and it's on a more case-by-case basis? And I think that's the perfect question to be asked here, as to why wasn't government funding more available in this case-by-case scenario?
Right.
Sorry to laugh, because it is 155 locals out there.
Mr. Williams,
right.
for those who have not been privy to the I don't want to call it the fiasco, but let's call it let's just, how could 155 people end up in our country without plans as to where they were going to stay, what they were going to do, and just bank on the goodwill or perhaps even the fear of embarrassment from the governing bodies to facilitate them?
How could 155 people go to represent a football club, but they were barely able to facilitate a 9x9 and 9-person team?
I'm perturbed, Aaron, perturbed. Flabbergasted even.
I was fab. You were blown away.
Yeah.
Sorry, RL, sorry. And just so fitting is Tobago.
Yeah, boy. Big, what you doing, we?
Sorry, RL, sorry. Ricardo, RL, sorry.
Big, what you doing, we? Come on. No, seriously, but my question though is, so when immigration meet all these people and going through the paperwork and thing, and then normally they're asking you where you're staying and for how long, etc. Were they allowed entrance? Were they detained by immigration? What were they held until? I just curious as to how this whole thing unfolded, and I don't really want to wait until Netflix do the story. Somebody had to explain. Lucy, you got some explaining to do.
No, right? Well, no, let be real. And I had a draw reference, and I like to use myself as an example because I don't like to tell other people's story.
That I love to tell other people's stories.
Yeah. In 2019, I decided to take a trip to Miami for Miami Carnival.
Right.
And I was held up in immigration for 3 hours.
Mm.
And more probably. I lost track of time inside there.
Right. It is just north of the Bermuda Triangle, so I could
Correct.
understand. Yeah.
Sure it's just not? Oh. Not west
Miami
or
had to be. It not there. It not in the triangle.
Alright, cool. Anyway.
You had an outer triangle experience. Go ahead.
Right. Anyhow. I spent 3 hours and more in immigration with them questioning me as to why I was coming there for and why I was going there to do and all kind of different things.
With your laptop and thing, it?
No, I didn't go with no laptop. I actually went to Miami Carnival.
Oh, okay. So you
Because
didn't have your DJ Aaron sticker and thing on you?
Nothing.
Right, nice man.
Nothing.
So 3 hours.
Me 3 hours for me who
Mhm.
went on vacation with telling you I am staying in X location for so much days and X location for so much days. I could answer how much money I had and that was where I was going to go during my stay. I was able to answer everything.
Yeah,
and I get home for 3 hours.
itinerary.
I was held for 3 hours. But 155 people got into England, were able to clear immigration and customs.
Right.
Something songing off.
Yeah, correct, it's right. Salt fishy. I would love to dig into this more, but there's still so much speculation floating around, and I don't know if we've gotten any official statements, etc. But there are one or two interesting questions are posed on social media. One of which was done by the Earl of Rab himself, Richard Williams, Willie Witawai, and he asked very, very clearly. So this money that these people strong-armed the government into providing,
the 3.6 million, just to be specific.
yeah, how are they going to pay this back?
Pay what back?
Because I don't think you could just land in our country, say you're representing another country, and then your homeland have to foot your bill out of goodness. If that's the case, I could walk into supermarkets and say I representing Trinidad and Tobago citizenry and pick up how much food I want to eat, and then call a press conference saying that
the government will handle it.
I forget my wallet home.
And the government will handle it.
Well, what we could do? I'd ask the government to handle it and to say, well, based on what they saw, they couldn't see how it would tie back into development and developmented. You see what's going on? Of course, I am blown away that my vocabulary is also compromised. Right?
Oh
how
my gosh.
You telling me, all right, so this money that you're asking for these people, we can see how it tie back into a developmental program. So you say, well, all right, let me go to another governing body days before, and the governing body say, well, brother man, you ain't giving no time to process this information. I don't know how we could help you. And then, of course, you take it to the court of public opinion, and you run up your GoFundMe and that type of thing, which I have no problems with, prior to. I have no problems with you crowdfunding prior to, but you don't get to land on the people on them porch in the gallery and then say somebody had organized a levy in. I ain't feeling that. I don't know if I'm missing something.
I think what on social media, there's a saying that audacity is on sale.
Right. Never heard it, but I'll remember it.
Right? Audacity was clearly on sale in this scenario. Because from the various articles which I would have read via various media houses locally, everyone echoed one common sentiment, that the coach and the managing director of the organization, which would have gone across to England, would have indicated that they were operating with faith, that everything would have sorted itself out. They were operating with faith. They were led by faith. Yes, we know coming out of a weekend like this one, where that faith as small as a mustard seed can move a mountain. And
I
that
hear you.
we can do all things through Christ. But prayer without action is a waste. If you fail to prepare, you're prepared to fail. This is just my views, huh?
Noted.
Right?
Noted.
So I could understand you want to go with faith. But from all accounts in the various articles, you were not prepared to proceed. Because you didn't even, all you had from what the article said is that you had, and I quote, airfare to take the team to Tobago. Oh gosh, Tobago.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
From Tobago.
From Tobago, my bad. That's all you had. Airfare to reach there. You plan exorbitant stays. You plan trips. You planned exorbitant accommodation. But you did not have the funds to facilitate it. Ricardo, I am 100% sure you will not leave your godly home and go to Tobago without knowing where you're staying.
Aaron, I wouldn't walk into my favorite roti shops, cafes, or other establishments without enough money to pay for what it is I want to eat, regardless of how good our relationship might be or how much faith I have. Because you know what? It have another thing in the Bible that they talk about? Something called wisdom. It have something called wisdom, Aaron. It is available in the streets and on the corners and on the rooftops.
Not just the book of wisdom, huh?
I'm talking about wisdom itself.
Right. I honestly, as you rightfully said, I have read at least 5 articles on this. All have echoed that we move in with faith comment, which is why I took that angle. And I can't fault somebody because your faith and my faith is 2 different faiths.
Go Paul faith and see Paul faith. Because that's a lock, that can't be locked. You can't tell me you carry over what just call 144 again? Is not a score. A score is 20. I have a number for 144. Anyway, I'll go look it up. But anyway, you can't tell me you carry 1,000 people, right? Across the Atlantic, right? Inverse slavery, right? You going back, you going the next way now.
Wait. What do you call it?
Inverse slavery. Because instead of bringing the people to Trinidad and Tobago to work, they carry the people back across the Atlantic to play. Right?
I am.
And Aaron, how you have to have faith like a mustard seed? Them have faith like coconut, boy. Because it have no way, Aaron. 155 people. And they're coming back home Saturday from what I read. So they get through.
2 things with that.
Anyway.
55 adults and 100 children.
No, we even get into that part of it yet, but go ahead, sir.
I'm not going to say that for me is the bigger part, you know. You carry 100 children, 100 minors across the country that is, the temperature is vastly different to what we have here.
Right.
And you don't know where you're going to have them staying. If that was one of my children,
so as somebody who
let me drink some water.
Good, you know, just now, let me cover the label too because they ain't paying for no airtime here. But let me take us. Let me drink some water and mind other people's business here. How? What? If this? No, I'm not saying that there was bubble, or as we like to call it now, Robert Everything, government name. See what I did there? Bob, Robert, all everything. Anyway. I'm not saying that there was bubble, but if there was to be, let's say, some degree of skullduggery, charlatanship, codswallop, or gobbledygook, how as a parent I could safely say I am putting my children through this particular process. I am willing to gamble that, yeah, they go organize for we. Nah, man.
It had no they go organize.
Nah, man.
I ever mentioned to you this story, Ricardo, of how I ended up playing Juve this year?
No. And it better be related to what we're talking about. But go ahead, sir.
When my little cousins said to their parents, we playing Juve with Aaron, without informing Aaron that Aaron was playing Juve with them.
Right. Oh, okay.
Right? At that point in time, I felt a level of responsibility. One, to make sure that, okay, Aaron played Juve, because meanwhile, my two little cousins going out on the streets of Port of Spain by themselves. But the next level of responsibility I felt was to let them know that if there's a future occasion where you want me to accompany you to something that you know your parents need some level of adult chaperoning, let me know in front. Communicate with me. So in this scenario, if you're going and send my child to England and you don't know where the child's staying because you're operating with faith, the same WhatsApp chat you could have tell me that my child wouldn't go or was going the night before, let me know. So I could say, I am not sending my child.
Have we heard from any of the parents?
Under the guise of anonymity.
Yeah, anonymity. Yeah, true.
Thanks.
Yeah. Remember, as I'm butcher a few words myself over the past couple of weeks here. So I've a different grace for it.
Not just
yes.
You have been butchering words a while.
Right. No man, this is absurdity. This is anyway. But you know what happened? Let me tell you what the problem with this thing is. Let me tell you. Right, and take your licks. The trial shot and the get through, the play the Juve. You feel they have consequence to study when they get what it is they wanted?
No.
So if after now having been leveraged into having to facilitate and accommodate them financially, you feel them studying what may or may not come after?
That's why I asked you when you asked the question about payback.
Hey, let me tell you a quick story, Aaron, about the importance of choice. Now, let's say you're walking towards a taxi stand. You are utilizing one of these forms of transportation to get to your destination. And a driver says to you, sir, one to go.
Oh,
one after you. One after you.
One of the greatest lies ever told.
One after you. And then you approach and realize that this vehicle might be 4-seater or 7-seater, is barren of passengership. Emptiness, like the proverbial tomb as supplied by Joseph of Arimathea. It was found empty. And now you vex because this driver has now painted you into a corner. Bamboozled you. Hoodwinked. You understand? Shenanigized. And now you sit in the car. Away. Right?
No, you was blown into the car.
Blown into the car. You understand? Hey. Vacuumed perchance. And now you sitting on in this car and you are stewing because this driver is now putting you into the position of either having to come out and look for a next car or sit and wait until he gets the passengers. Right? Now here the catch too. And I will tell you the way we just think, because we are a superstitious people. So you thinking to yourself, boy, if I look to jump out this car now, anything that happened after that is because I look for that now. So the leveraging you into a decision that you may not necessarily have made. However, the other side of that particular coin is, if when you approach said stand with the intention of using one of these forms of transportation to reach a destination, you are confronted with some vulnerability and transparency, and the driver says to you, well boy, thing running a little slow today, start more off now. Right? If I find we taking too long, I'll go try the road. And you decide, you know what? Let me get this driver a blind. He have the air conditioner on, the radio on a nice station, I go sit down and go off and see. You choose to wait as opposed to being leveraged into waiting. It's the same time you might be waiting, but your whole attitude, the demeanor, the way you feel about the trip, the way that you're watching the drive, etc., the way that you feel when you arrive to your destination, going to be something totally different. Because even though the same time might have been spent in suspense and apprehension, at the end of the day, there's a choice that you made versus the choice being removed from you by trickery. People with that piece of bovine excrement. Listen, as far as I'm concerned, them shouldn't even be able to get a food badge from the government again after that, because you're owing the public. And I don't like to have to use this kind of thing, but we cannot keep saying we have to do better and then facilitate this kind of nonsense. Now, I'm glad for them for the experience, but that might be the first and last time you get to come in the people in them country too. Because you know what's going to happen when your name shows up on a register in 10 and 15 years?
They're going to remember
This.
Because the same way how I led with saying that when I was held in immigration in Miami, they recanted to me a trip to Venezuela in 2011.
That was as a student.
No, I was on vacation.
You went on vacation to Venezuela, right?
To Margarita.
Oh, okay, right. You see Margarita?
Judgment Penguin.
I am in full Judgment Penguin mode. I am sorry, Aaron. I am sorry, Father. Forgive me, But I'm in full Judgment Penguin mode. Let me hide the label. I'm gonna take off the label off screen.
You should.
Remember, I made a promise to do better.
Yeah.
Right, which is why I didn't even mention the fact that a roti shop that I am not going to name messaged me to tell me that they ain't see me in a little while and to make sure that I'm okay.
That's customer service.
That's customer service. And I said, guys, y'all are reading my mind. I was on my way to check you before the long weekend.
But here now, as we talking about service and things like that, and let me try to wrap up this scenario with that. Some positivity back into the show now.
Yeah, blow the final whistle on that particular.
Yeah, because the final whistle was blown on them on 3 games, and they only won 1.
Hey, you know what? Did
they win any or did they drop 2-1?
I listen.
I can't remember.
I am actively listening.
But anyway, we live in a country that has a lot of entitlement issues, where we think that we are owed subsidies. We think that we are owed free education. We think that we are owed grants. And I don't want to say disability payments and things like that. But
we have a certain level of social support that we understand is the responsibility of.
We think that we are owed a level of support to the extent where we don't understand that it has to come from a genuine place.
Somewhere, boy.
Right? As much as I echo your sentiment that I'm happy for the experience that they would have gained in participating in a grassroots football tournament in England.
Put on by, if I'm not mistaken, is a travel agency put it on?
I can't remember.
Anyway,
but notice what I said, It wasn't a school football tournament.
Right.
It wasn't a FA of England, the Football Association of England football tournament. It was a grassroots tournament in the city of Manchester, the home of one of the greatest clubs and the face of this earth, Manchester United, and also Manchester City. But I digress. It was a grassroots tournament. I'm happy for the experience. But you see the fact that you put out your hand with the expectation that we must take care of you. You have now made it bad for people who have genuine causes for assistance. I hope that the Mr. Brown, because his name is in the public domain on numerous news articles,
all right,
I hope that he is met and held accountable for this, and he has to account for every single cent of that public purse which was disbursed to him. We want to see where it went. Because if we can't get accountability from the government ministers for how much ever millions of dollars in the budget go, we need that level of accountability from our fellow man.
John Q. Public cannot hold an entire country to ransom like that.
Right.
Cannot hold an entire country. Listen, they have leveraged the international embarrassment of 150 plus citizens.
155.
Right?
Yeah, and we're saying, and Ricardo, let me cut you across here too.
Yeah, I cannot stop talking. So technically, it was not cut
Oh,
across. It was a timely intervention. Go ahead, sir.
apologies.
You interject as you will.
But if the Matson and we were only able to field one team in a 9v9 tournament, let's say they had 3 subs, Ricardo, that is 12 people that would have played out of a contingent of 155. But you know what? We sent 23 people to the Carifta Games in Grenada, 18 of which were athletes and 5 coaches.
Mm-hmm.
And from that, we won 7 medals on the opening day, 5 by female athletes. You see a return on investment?
Thou art properly informed, sir.
You see a return on investment there?
Right.
And we didn't send the athletes, the coaches, the tanti and the no.
Mm-hmm.
We send the athletes and the coaches alone. So
Yeah.
I don't understand how you could send 155 people and you couldn't even field the teams for the 4 competitions your age groups you wanted to participate in.
I do like to incite, but I am going to announce my intention to observe whether or not Trinidad and Tobago can flex these recently acquired arms of accountability. Because if they manage to get condiments back in certain fast food establishments,
We pumping again.
Right, if we pumping again, I want to know how many people are going to demand that the taxpayer money be accounted for by this private entity.
Here, thank you very much for that, Ricardo, because that was the next thing I was going at. All the boycott, we boycott.
Mm-hmm.
Mind you, I see lines in that establishment over this weekend, and
Well,
lengthy lines.
There were people who utilized the boycott to support whatever fast they may or may not have been on.
Exactly.
Right? There were also people who had no intentions of boycotting, who just, for whatever reason, were just waiting until Easter weekend. You know, Easter weekend is notorious for many forms of road trips and excursions, etc.
And also had a lot of people who just didn't want to be the one that happened to be broadcasted in a picture.
Right. So they wait until it had
plenty people. So I is one of many. Anywho, but really and truly, guys, I really do hope that we take our new social prowess and to another level here and hold the members of that sports club or development club or whatever you want to call it accountable for what they have just done. And we don't let be another 9-day and forget.
Right. A 9-day wonder what happened. Yeah. This is one of those times where I could understand our ministry saying, listen, when we look at the proposal that was put forth, we could not see how it was tying into the development, the national development of the sport. I could see it. But what I do have to point out as well, and this is where I gotta wipe my feet, this is not the first time that the improper application for support by groups and individuals from our sister isle have resulted in being internationally embarrassed in the isolation, in the being stranded, in the being this. How do you get past the immigration gates?
I honestly don't know. And I really don't want to spend the entirety of this program.
But this is just a reflection of the absurdity of the matter.
I'm not going to say that because, as I said at the start, I spent 3 hours in immigration with my itinerary outlined. You didn't know where you're going and stay and you get in? With children?
I really hope that there's some investigation as to how this got to that.
Right.
I ain't holding my breath for it.
Yeah, I better things to hold my breath on right now.
Right. So yes, all this conjecture aside, you know what? God bless you, because I don't have that belly, and perhaps I should use this as an example of something that was spoken into my life over a decade ago by a friend who said, "Hey, if you don't ask, the answer is always no."
Correct.
Close mouth.
So you know what?
Don't get fed.
Dear government of Trinidad and Tobago, I ask you today, April the 2nd of 2024, that you hereby take it up and provide proper legislation in Trinidad and Tobago that 75% of the content on the airwaves are of our production.
I was going to talk about a song that local band released last week. I'm pretty certain WAC will not play this song. You know, it's a local alternative kind of vibes. I'll send it for you and you can let me know if at some point in time. But it's quite a fascinating song. I just want to say congratulations on Pooty and the Saltfish on the release of the latest song. Right? Gyro and a Drop Home. Fantastic, and the reason that I referencing it is because
I think I saw that on somewhere on social media this weekend.
Listen, anyway, I mean, I just say one of the members of the band is Stuart Jalizo, who is kin to our
WTF
segment contributor, Franz Jalizo.
Okay.
I know a couple of guys in the band as well, so I just want to say
that band didn't originate on Carib Street.
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. But
okay.
You know, the local rock is alive.
Yeah,
local
trust me.
Alive.
Big up concert.
Big up Kelody Energy as well for
Lynchpin actually has a big concert coming up soon.
Yeah, big up man like Jared and them, man. So that was our local rock moment. Hey, point of note, I want to send much love and greetings to our former guest, well by now a regular of our projects, Michaela Pandey. She posted this weekend about her holy Hapagua, aka holy celebrations, and just bubbling up pot too, if I'm not mistaken. So big up you, Michaela, big up you. It was a nice reminder that this wasn't just Easter weekend. It wasn't just Easter weekend. We live in a potential paradise, in a potential paradise. So when I see the moments of, hey, I like that round of applause, claps and kudos. Here, I want to ask you a political question. Just out of curiosity, and just for a serious moment, very, 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 very brief moment. Do you think that requiring that an organization that you are a member of follow its own constitution, do you think that suggests dissent? No, that's the whole question,
I'm not going to need a little more context on that.
All right, you are a member of an organization. Hypothetically, it's supposed to hold internal elections. This right, and all you do is ask a question as to, hey, before we move into the larger national elections, the general elections, that we follow our constitutionally due internal elections before you proceed. Do you think that suggests betrayal or dissent, or is just what how would you view that if you were in a leadership position and somebody remind you, hey boss, it have a way we supposed to do what we supposed to do?
Transparency and accountability.
That's how you view it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And I think I know it. I think I could pick sense from nonsense as to what exactly you're talking about. And I think it's that the leader is probably trying to prevent another loss, which would be making it, I think, 8 or 9 consecutive elections without victory.
So I just asking a question here. If within the own organization, right, you feel threatened by those who are reminding you to uphold the pillars upon which your organization is built, you have to ask yourself a question. What really going on?
I'll just say sigh. I'm happy you alluded that question to me, Ricardo, because it's something that I really wanted to just bring up today inside the show.
Really?
Yeah. Peer pressure. Yeah, peer pressure. Peer pressure.
Actively listening. Go ahead, sir.
I'll just put this out first. This disclaimer out. Neither Ricardo or I myself are parents, right?
Neither of us are parents. Correct.
Right? But
in the flesh. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Peer pressure is something which every parent has a responsibility to teach their children about. But I think when they reach to that age of 18 or to that age of adulthood, most of us forget that peer pressure is not just limited to teenagers. Peer pressure is something very real in adulthood as well.
Yep.
And I'm going to coin a new term here today. Reverse peer pressure as well is something that is very real in adulthood.
You have piqued my curiosity. Where's this reverse peer pressure now?
As we grow older, change is the only constant in our lives. We move from positions of enjoyment to positions of stability to positions of fostering and nurturing on our next generation to positions of passing on information to ensure that our family legacy lives on. And when I say reverse peer pressure, there's a lot of instances where your friends don't want you to grow up because sometimes that requires you leaving them behind.
Right.
So to those of us who are transitioning through periods of life right now, I just want to remind you that it's okay sometimes that you have to leave persons behind. It might be that you may be leaving them behind for a while, and you could pick them back up later down in life when goals align again. But you have to remember that sometimes the people that you keep close to could be holding you back from progressing in life. Because they want you to stay where you is because they wouldn't know yours.
Right.
So that level of peer pressure I'm talking about, it extends to adulthood as well. So guys, be mindful. Have honest conversations with your friends about where you are in life and where you would like to be. But before you can have the honest conversation with your friends, you need to have that honest conversation with yourself. What happened there?
No, I was going to suggest a tweak to that sentiment, but I decided to, practice the pause and let you finish. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah. So wait, can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. One of the things, just as very subtle corrections, not to the entirety of any of these statements, but just amendments to. I just would like to add to them as opposed to oppose them. Change is not the only constant, right? We also have two more: death and taxes. Just a reminder. Just a reminder. And secondly, Aaron, for the insightful, the conversation starts inward. But there's also the opportunity for those of us who are exposed to external conversations to then carry that conversation inward.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to start internally. It could be something that you are exposed to, and then you adopt it, internalize, process, and then express. So I just want to say excellent sentiment, but there's nothing wrong with being positively impacted by a conversation that you did not initiate internally.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just to stretch the
and I accept that, and thank you very much for the reinforcement of the statement and the support of the overarching discussion that we have.
Always,
but,
I support you as much as I possibly can, especially when you consider the level of peacock to which I frequently expose you to.
Right, but really and truly, I saw some things over this weekend that thoroughly disturbed me, and which led me to the point of thinking that this is something that I should say on this forum.
Excellent.
Right?
You're going to speak on the issues specifically, or you're just going to speak to the sentiment?
No, just speaking to the sentiment. It's along the lines that we speak so much about generational curses, right? And the sins of the parent falling on the child and these different things. But I keep saying that to identify generational curse, you need to know what it is.
Right.
You can't want to break a curse that you don't know what it is.
Yeah, correct. There has to be some illumination. Yes.
You have to know. So that is why I went with the angle in my initial statement that it has to be internal first. Because if you just see, I just use an example. If you see for years Your grandfather cooking with pepper, your father cooking with pepper, but you suffering from acid reflux.
Right.
You know cooking with pepper is a bad thing, but you're going and continue it because that's what daddy and granddaddy used to do.
Even if it ain't good for you.
Even if it ain't good for you,
Right.
you had to know and look within to know here what's going on. The pepper this caused my acid reflux to act up. Maybe I need to stop cooking with pepper.
Right. You know what, sir? As somebody who has been hypercritical of your analogies them over the years now.
Yeah.
That was an excellent one, sir.
Yeah.
That is an excellent indicator of the fact that doing what has been taught to us might not always benefit us. And it's okay to ask the question or to propose a change. Right? Nobody's saying abandon tradition entirely. Right? What we are suggesting is that you could also modify it to suit your best and your community and your society's best interests. Well done, sir. Well done. I like this version of Aaron. You're glowing like a man who went to church all weekend.
And because we are getting perilously close to the hour of 7 p.m., I must remind you. Well, no, I can't really remind you. I can tell you that in my readings for April, because every morning I try to do some devotional reading and intentional reading every day. And the one word that I see on the cards for every day for April is community. Find a community. And as I said before, with your friends, sometimes you had to tweak your friend group. You might have to leave a couple friends behind. Remember that some people migrate from your community and go elsewhere, or you could migrate to a new community. Because if you want to move forward, you need to find like-minded people with you. I'm not saying that you need to let go of everybody and you can't hold on to a certain pocket that you could talk your sports, you could talk your little strippiness, you could hide a little peacock. Enjoyment is part of life. But if that is all your circle talking about, that's all your community is talking about, you probably need to invest the choir, as we say, a little bit to get some more like-minded people to probably help you take it to the next level. So just like how Ricardo and I could have a conversation for 35 minutes about the football fiasco, but then we turn it around now to have a 10-minute conversation about peer pressure and building a community. This is what we need. We need people to speak life into us, not just speak the bacchanal into us.
Correct is right.
Because as our mantra says in the living room, we try to create positive content in our bacchanal environment. That doesn't mean that we wouldn't talk the bacchanal, because trust me, we like a good bacchanal.
Yeah, it had that.
But what we also try to do is educate our listeners. Because radio and podcasts and all these different things is not just for entertainment, it's also for education. So you know what? Let's merge the two and have some edutainment. I think I'll get there. I think so.
I just want to take the opportunity to thank everyone for joining us this evening in the living room. All right. It was an enthralling conversation, one that I'm glad that we managed to have, and we're grateful for the opportunity to capture and share with you guys. I want to point out something too. Maybe it's time to start exercising something I want to call the chain down. Is the reverse of the chain up. You know, as parents, somebody would have probably messaged somebody and said, "Hey, you sending them children to ting. And you know you're uncertain about it, but somebody else say, "Yeah, I sending them, man." So you decide, well, all right, if so and so sending them, I go send mine too. Maybe we need a couple more chain down specialists in Trinidad and Tobago. Somebody who could be like, "Me? Nah, boy, you feel like good at that, yes?" And you know what? I ain't really feeling too sure about it myself, so I feel like good. Maybe we need some more people who are willing to chain down our situation.
Some negative netties?
No, I know, not even saying negative, I just saying chain it down.
Oh,
right? Okay. It's okay you don't have to go along to get along. Right? At the end of the day.
So chain down cardos.
Chain down cardos. Nah, chain and car is two very different sounds. It's good alliteration, but not necessarily the best. Anyway, but this is yours truly, Ricardo Mitchell, the social sage on the global stage. Thank you for joining us in the living room. Right? Remember, guys, the hourglass is opaque. We don't know how much time remains, so whatever you're doing, be good and stay safe. This was a pleasure. You all have a great April. It is the beginning of my birthday month. birth month. Looking forward to spending some time with you guys again in the living room. All right, bless up to the listeners who will heal us in the short box and in whatever forms of media afterwards. Don't forget to check out DJ Aaron 868 YouTube page to catch recordings of some of the episodes. See what you might have missed, But all in all, thank you, God bless, and over to you, Aaron.
This is yours truly, DJ Aaron 868. I remind you each and every week that culture is my code. I also remind you that love is the currency, so spend some today. Let somebody know that you love them, guys. It's April. I'm not too sure if I'm back on Friday as yet, but we'll see how that works out on Friday. Other than that, keep it locked to the True Nation station, WACK 90.1 FM, where we are Culture Crazy.
Culture Crazy.
Mr. Desmond is up next with the big band. Keep it locked.